Top of the morning to you as we await the industry's biggest awards night of the season. This is SBJ senior writer Joe Lemire with the Morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, March 4th. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences had their fun, handing out the Oscars and gowns and tuxes on Sunday, but this evening at the Hard Rock Hotel in New York City's Times Square, we'll be handing out the third annual Sports Business Awards Tech. It might be more of a jeans and Jordans dress code. We ought to recap the fashion on tomorrow's Buzzcast. Well, maybe not. But we'll hand out awards for the best use of AI, best tech and athlete performance, fan experience, immersive experience, venue and franchise operations, technology executive, and our exciting new prize presented in partnership with Next League to a rising female leader of the sports tech industry. All this and much more coming tonight and the rest of our Tech Week content. From my interview with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman, to appearances from Kraken owner Samantha Holloway and key leaders at the NBA, MLB, MLS, NFL, NASCAR, UFC, LPGA. Yep, we've got all the acronyms ready. And several teams and tech companies. We'll even have a Super Bowl champion on stage 2, talking shop with a knapsack champ. That's my high school football conference. You'll have to stay tuned for that interview. We had a heck of a year in 1999. Even had a future Super Bowl champ on the roster, too. But I digress. Tech Week is the kickoff to SBJ's events calendar for 2025, and it's the best speaker faculty we've had for this event yet. Plenty more coverage on Buzzcast and on SBJ.com all week. The Montreal Expos moved to Washington, D.C. and became the Nationals 20 years ago. And next season, in 2026, they will finally control their local TV rights for the first time. A condition of that original move, which at the time infringed the established territorial rights that belonged to the Baltimore Orioles, was that the Orioles network MASN would carry Nats games. This certainly impeded Washington from gaining full market value in terms of broadcast revenue, and as the Washington Post noted, it likely dampened buyer interest when the Lerner family first explored selling the Nationals 3 years ago. Financial terms of Monday's settlement were not disclosed, but with the Orioles maintaining new ownership, led by David Rubenstein, who acquired the franchise a year ago after decades of control by the Angelos family, this certainly seemed like a logical time for a new approach. One wonders whether this might help the Lerner family try again to sell the franchise, with presumably a higher valuation, thanks to this revenue stream being closer to settled. The RSN market, to be clear, is not nearly as robust as it was, a fact anyone choosing to listen to the Buzzcast is already quite familiar with. But having control is undoubtedly appealing, and there's at least one or two prospective networks that make a lot of logical sense. Chief among them is Monumental Sports Network, which is owned and operated by Ted and Zach Leonsis, and that already carries their two biggest franchises, the NBA's Wizards and NHL's Capitals. Ted Leonsis reportedly offered more than $2 billion to acquire the Nationals at the time it was on the market, and said publicly that the addition of MLB programming during the summer months would be the perfect complement to the schedule of his current RSN. NESN is the classic example of how well that can work, with the Boston Red Sox and Boston Bruins being carried by the same channel. And this also feels like the right time to mention that SBJ and Monumental, as you have hopefully already heard, are co-producing a monthly TV show, Inside the Industry, on key sports business topics relevant to industry executives and fans alike. Our first episode on venue innovation is already available on YouTube now. The second, on women's sports, aired recently on Monumental, and I was fortunate to again be involved in taping the third episode late last week on athletes and money. That will air on Monumental later this month. The other big headline in sports media on Monday was the retirement of Jimmy Johnson from Fox Sports. The Super Bowl winning Cowboys coach, who won a national championship as a player at Arkansas alongside Jerry Jones, also led the Miami Dolphins, Oklahoma State, and Miami during some of its peak years as the U, including the 1987 national title. He first joined Fox Sports 31 years ago, dating back to when it first acquired NFL rights. Johnson initially made the announcement of his retirement on Colin Cowherd's FS1 talk show. Johnson is 81 years old, and the move had been speculated, particularly after Fox broadcast this year's Super Bowl. During that coverage, Fox produced a 4.5-minute segment using AI to recreate key moments of Johnson's journey in football. My colleague Rob Schaefer wrote a good story a few weeks back about the technology to make it happen. But the piece felt so much like a retirement tribute that a Fox Sports spokesperson issued a statement afterwards to say that it was not, in fact, that kind of announcement, even though the formal decision would come a month later. Johnson was always charismatic and insightful, and remained true to his character on air, making for entertaining TV. In college sports, FSU and Clemson may be nearing a settlement with the ACC that would resolve 4 ongoing lawsuits and implement a new revenue distribution strategy, according to ESPN, which wrote that both schools and the ACC's board of directors would all be meeting later today, that's Tuesday afternoon, to review and potentially approve the agreement. Reportedly, the 2 key objectives were this new revenue distribution model, called the Brand Initiative, in which 60% of the funds would be distributed based on a 5-year rolling average of viewership to reward the high achievers in the conference, while the remaining 40% would be split evenly among all constituents. Additionally, the penalty of leaving the conference had been estimated as much as $700 million, but with the settlement, it is said that it would be less than $100 million beginning in 2030. A few more final news items for the day. Tennis legend Serena Williams has joined the ownership group of the WNBA expansion franchise, the Toronto Tempo. She already has invested in the NFL's Miami Dolphins, the NWSL's Angel City, and TGL's Los Angeles Golf Club, so she's adding to that ownership portfolio for the expansion team. Meanwhile, WNBA star Sabrina Ionescu has become a minority owner and advisor to BayFC of the NWSL. And lastly, the Iditarod began on Monday, but the fabled dog race is taking a giant detour this year that will add 128 miles to the usually 1,000-mile race. The reason? Not enough snow. That's right, parts of Alaska didn't have enough snow, forcing the start of the race to be moved from Anchorage to Fairbanks for the 4th time. Even the ceremonial start in Anchorage requires snow to be trucked in and the route to be shortened. That's a wrap for me today. If you'll be coming to Tech Week, please do drop me a note or look for the tall redhead at the event. I'm usually not too hard to find. Thanks for listening. This is Joe Lemire signing off for the Buzzcast on Tuesday, March 4th, and I wish you as much luck in your Tech Awards pick'em pools as you had with the Oscars.